Just set it up over here. Hopefully that'll work. That's so funny. You just never know with technology, but I think it's recording, Jerry, so we'll have it on the camera anyway. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Another edition of Stories with Grandmother Drum. A little bit late start. I apologize for that, but let's just start the rhythm. You know this. You know the drill. How's everybody doing? It's been, well, we're going on a month of this now, right? A month of not seeing your friends, and a month of not being where you want to be. For some people, a month of not working. Just want to let you know, I feel you. So take a moment. A nice deep breath. Nice long exhale. Maybe take another one of those. Are you relaxing? Are you feeling the drum beat? I hope so. That's what this is about. I like spending time with you. It takes me just a little bit to warm up to the fact that I'm in an empty room. Like I say, normally when I get Grandmother Drum out, there's at least a few other people in the room, and sometimes there's a whole lot of people in a big open space. But she does a pretty good job of warming me up. And just like you, I got to take a minute, and we talked about it last week, get into some entrainment, really just feel what this drum is going to say tonight. And the first thing that is just coming to mind is that we all got to make sure that we take care of each other, take care of the people that we are around. Are you making your phone calls to your friends? Not your text. And your Facebook posts are great, and so are your personal messages. Make sure you're making your phone calls. And if you have an opportunity to go see somebody, you can do your safe social distancing, or not that I would ever want you to break any rules, but if you can get as close as you can get to people, everybody needs that right now. So we're as close as we can get. Yeah, now I'm feeling it. So I think I've told you, and if this is the first time you're catching Stories with Grandmother Drum, I'll tell you again. A man who taught me a lot about how to use a drum was named Corbin Harney. Corbin was the Western Shoshone spiritual elder turned peace activist who I met at the Nevada nuclear test site. And from him, his heart was as big as a whale, and everybody loved to be around Corbin. And Corbin had been through some pretty tough times in his life, but he had come to realize, and this was one of his favorite sayings, there's only one air, one water, one earth, one people. And we're all on this rock floating around in space together. We have to work together. So Corbin would invite anyone to his ceremonies. And one of his best ceremonies was sunrise ceremony at the Nevada nuclear test site. So let me tell you about that. That's tonight's story. Hope you're feeling the drum. There we go. Feeling your heart. Feeling your connection to all the other people that are watching this, people that are around, really to everyone. Just dropping any sense of separateness. So the Nevada nuclear test site is 65 miles north of Las Vegas. And it's where the United States and Great Britain, for many years, since the 40s, tested nuclear weapons. And if you go far enough across the Nevada nuclear test site, you get to Area 51. So that just tells you what kind of place it is. So at the Nevada Nuclear Test Site, scientists work on how to improve yields and how to basically make more efficient bombs and really, the bottom line, kill more people. It's a rough spot. And over the years, over 1,100 nuclear bombs have been detonated on the Nevada Nuclear Test Site. But here's the thing. That land belongs to the Shoshone people. And the Shoshone people in 1862 signed the Ruby Valley Peace and Freedom Treaty. And it gave white settlers the freedom to pass through, but it never ceded the land. And we could go into the politics of all that and how it came to be that the United States government put a $25 million down payment, or to them a full payment, into a bank account and said, we're going to pay the Shoshone for the land that we've taken. So they took this land and fenced it off and started blowing up nuclear bombs there. And you've probably seen some of these pictures of people in Las Vegas, sometimes even sitting in bleachers, watching mushroom clouds go up off in the distance, because 65 miles over the desert is not a whole lot of space. So you can see something like a nuclear bomb going off 65 miles away. Little did people know they were being nuked and all kinds of things like that. In fact, they say the radiation from being downwind is what killed John Wayne. He was filming a movie in Utah at the time of one nuclear test. So I met Corbin down there at the Nevada Test Site. My brother Bear and I and a few of our other friends, we made the journey down there. And what Corbin would do is he'd rally all the activists and put people in the right space to go down and block the entrance to the test site and try and delay things. And I mean, people did all kinds of things down there. They would set up teepees in the road or tripods in the road that were very hard to dismantle without taking the person who was sitting at the top of it out and hurting them. So it'd take the authorities a while to get that done. People would chain themselves across the road and put their arms inside pipes where you couldn't see where their arms were and where the handcuffs between them were, so it was hard to cut those pipes apart. People would park junked cars in the road, all kinds of things to hold up nuclear testing. And sometimes it would just be people gathering at the gate. Now, normally on any other day of the week, you can go right through that gate, and eventually you'll run into somebody as you go down there. But whenever there'd be an action, there would be a whole phalanx of hired security people from the Wackenhut Corporation. And if you crossed the cattle guard at the gate, you were stepping onto Department of Energy property and you would be arrested. But what would happen before all that? There would be nonviolence training. There would be sessions on what was going on at the test site. There would be all kinds of gathering and solidarity, and people from all over the world would come there to do this. But one of the highlights of every day at the Nevada test site was sunrise ceremony. And the way sunrise ceremony would go is Corbin and an assistant would get up before dawn. And Corbin had a spot for this. And there was a fire pit. And then directly west of that, so he would be facing east, would be an altar. And that altar would be between Corbin and the fire, just a mound of dirt. And on that mound of dirt, he would have some water in a container, an abalone shell with some sage, maybe some tobacco and other herbs. And then he would take a coffee can and fill it with tobacco and some other herbs, and that would be sitting right there. And then he had these two big eagle wing fans. So all of that would be on the altar. And Corbin would get his drum. And his assistant would light the fire. And usually nobody was up. It'd be really early in the morning. Maybe 4 or 4:30, depending on what time of year you were there. Well before the sunrise. And he would start playing a drum beat like this. And here's the thing. more than a few times I would leave. We would get our bus. The band Clandeichen played there numerous times. We took a lot of other people with us over the years. And we might pack up on a Thursday night in the evening and drive all night to get there. Get there, at 2 or 3 in the morning. And a couple times I remember saying to myself, well, I'll camp or I'll park the bus way far away from the circle so Corbin won't wake me up right away in the morning, because you could come to the circle at any time. This was going to go on for hours. You didn't have to be there right when you started. But especially if I was sleeping outside, as soon as he would start doing this, the vibrations of that drum would carry through the ground, carry through the air. It didn't matter where I was. I'd feel them. And I'd have to say, okay, Grandpa, I'm coming. I'm coming, Corbin. And I'd drag myself out of bed, but I would never regret having done that. Because you get to the circle early in the morning, and there'd only be a few people. And Corbin would have whoever was there join hands, start moving around the circle towards your left. And with every beat of that stick on the drum, people's feet would shuffle to the ground. And the ground there, it's high desert. It's surrounded by mountains and desert chaparral growing. When people, especially when more than a few people would get there and start shuffling their feet, it would sound like a rattle. And you would go around, and as the morning went on, more and more people would be coming out of their tents. And Corbin had a song that he loved to sing. I'm going to do a little bit of that song for you, but I'm going to try to set you in the mood for it. You have to imagine, by now, there's enough people that have come out of their tents or out of their campers or just got up off the ground, wherever they were sleeping, that there was a complete circle all the way around this fire. When you got farthest over there on that side, you didn't hear Corbin as loud, but you always heard the shuffling of the people next to it. And then as you would come closer around the circle, you'd get closer and closer to Corbin, and the drum would get louder and louder. And when you went right by him, because he would be standing just on the inside of the circle, then you'd be behind him and it wasn't quite as loud again. Then you'd come out on the other side, and that drum would just be moving, and everyone is moving together to the beat of that drum. And you're already feeling stronger as a group of people. And I think that message right there is important for us now. And when we work together, we feel better, we feel stronger. But I can tell you, you would look across there and you would see this love in the people's eyes as you looked across that circle to someone way on the other side. And that person might be there from Japan or Russia or Europe or the other side of the US or Hawaii, South America. People came from all over the world to pray for peace with Corbin Harney. And then Corbin would stop for a minute. He might keep the drum going. And he would say some prayers. And he would always tell us, I'm going to pray in my language. And when Corbin said prayers, or when Corbin sang the song I'm going to sing for you, he did it in an ancient Shoshone tongue. So even people who speak Shoshone don't use this tongue anymore. It was like the ceremonial tongue. And as he was doing this, his assistant would walk around, because when he would stop sometimes to say the prayer, he would pick up the eagle feathers, and he'd hold them up like this, and he would fan them. And then his assistant, Willie, would take that abalone shell that had the coal burning in it and a little bit of sage on it, and he would fan that sage. Maybe he had a big sage stick too. And they would walk around and give each person a chance to reach their hand into that coffee can that I was talking about, take a pinch of that tobacco and sage out into their hand, and then they would sage you off, and get you all smoked up, and you'd spin around, and you'd walk around, and then he'd stop at the end, and he'd pray in his native tongue, and you didn't need to understand the words, you could just feel what he was talking about. And then we'd look out at the rest of us and say, now I want you to pray in your own way. Don't do what I'm doing. Pray in your own way. And then you might take a break and you might tell people, you can walk up to the fire and you can drop your little bit on that you've been holding in your hand, putting your energy in, putting your thoughts in, putting your best intentions into. And you can walk up to that fire and you drop that on there and you rub off your hands. And the fire is going to mix what you just put in there into that smoke, and it's going to take it up, and it's going to spread it around the world. And your prayer is going to be heard everywhere. And so some people would just walk up silently and drop a little bit of that tobacco mix on there. Some people would stop and say something, and sometimes it would be something that would just crack your heart wide open. Some people would cry. Some people would just, after they did that, reach down and maybe take a little bit of the ash and put it on themselves somewhere, because Corbin always said these ashes were good for you. And Corbin would get the beat going again. And people would join hands. And by this time, more and more people would be coming out of their tents. And then, the thing about this ceremony was there was no time limit. If this took hours to do, that's how long it took to do. So now, I want you to go there with me. I want you to maybe close your eyes. I want you to visualize a fire. And I want you to smell that mesquite and that high desert smell. And I want you to imagine that to the east there's some tall mountains, and also to the east is Mercury, Nevada, where they're working on nuclear testing. But those mountains over there, there's starting to be a glow behind them, a pink glow. The sun is coming up, and they have snow on them. You can look all around this place. And there's some mountains to the north too. So when you come around this side of the circle, holding hands with all these other people, and you're looking north, you see the side of Corbin's face. And Corbin's face, it looks just like the mountains. It's kind of like the same color. And he's got this white hair on top of his head that looks like the snow on top of the mountains. And you can see this man is just made of the land that he's praying for. And you feel like you want to do anything to help him. You want to do anything to bring peace to the world. You want to do whatever you can to make sure that another nuclear bomb doesn't go off in the womb of Mother Earth. Because by this time in the 80s, they had stopped the above ground testing. President Kennedy signed the Limited Test Ban Treaty in 1963, but they were still boring holes into the earth and putting nuclear weapons at the bottom of a mile-deep tunnel and filling it up with concrete and then blowing it up under there. Now you got to imagine, now you're going around this circle. Sometimes the smoke is in your face, sometimes it's blowing a different direction, and every single person is there with that intention, and you're all doing this little dance. 1, 2, 1, 2. And Corbin sings this song in the ancient tongue. And in this song is the word Shundahai. And Shundahai, as Corbin described it, is the feeling that you get in your heart when you get a really good hug from someone. Shundahai, he said, was like peace and harmony with all of creation. And also, Shundahai is one of these words that can be a noun and a verb. It's a noun as I just described it, that feeling. But it's a verb. You can Shundahai a room by bringing that feeling into that room. You can Shundahai a place by bringing Shundahai with you. And basically, the rough translation that Corbin told me, and he taught us this song, he let us sing a song. Like I told you, Corbin shared with everyone. The fact that we were not Shoshone people didn't matter to him. He said, I want you to do this. And he would even tell people, get your cameras out and take pictures. But Corbin said, what this song says is, may the sun continue to rise and bless the people. May the people continue to do their good work. And in that good work is this word Shundahai, that we might find this peace and harmony with all creation. So again, close your eyes, feel this drum, imagine yourself in the circle going around, and sometimes looking at the side of Corbin's face, lit by the fire, lit by the slowly rising sun, and then looking across every once in a while into the eyes of another peace activist. And Corbin is singing this song to you. It goes like this. Hey, hey, na, ne, bueno, ne, na, no, muche, hey, hey, bueno, ne, na, no, muche, when, na, no, way, no, Shundahai, me, no, way, ne, way, yo, one, ne, hana, hey, louder than the drum, because now the circle is so big that when you get way over here on the far eastern side, Corbin's not so loud anymore, but the shuffling of all those people's feet is like a rattle. It's like become part of the drum. You're one with the drum. Your heart's beating with all the other people in the circle. And Corbin's song, even though you don't understand the words, but you kind of know what it means, is going right through every part of your being. Hey, none, hey, when no, nay, no, much, hey, hey, when no, nay, no, much, hey, when none, no, way, Rushanda, Hameanu, way, Dene, way, oh, one day, Hana. And a few more people stumble out of their tent. And Corbin keeps reminding you that when someone else comes up behind you, just make the circle a little bit bigger and join hands with those other people. Hey, hey, na, nay, when no, nay, no, much, hey, 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 when no, nay, no, much, hey, when no, way, the shunda, hi, me, no, way, the nay, way, oh, one day, hana. And finally, the sun is coming up over that mountain over there. And as the rays of the sun just start to come over the mountain, Corbin puts the drum down. And all the people stop. And everyone's face turns towards the sun. And Corbin gets his eagle feathers up. And he starts to pray with his hands out like this. And these two enormous eagle feather fans in his hands. And again, we don't understand the words that he's saying, but he's praying from his heart. He's praying from inside him. And he's praying in an ancient tongue. And he's like one with this land. And he can get a message from the horny toad over here or the rock next to the fire that adds to his prayer. And he just tells us that we're going to go forth in peace. And we're going to do what we have to do. And we're going to work together to stop nuclear testing on Western Shoshone land. Now, this seemed impossible to do. The force of the United States government, billions of dollars being poured into it, scientists and politicians all thinking this was a good idea. But do you know that in 1992, there was a comprehensive nuclear test ban? These people here in this circle were part of that test ban. Yeah, there were lobbyists. Yes, there were newspaper articles. There was all kinds of activity to make that happen. But I don't think it would have happened without Corbin and those prayers and those songs. So after that, the sun would come up and Corbin be done praying in his native tongue. He'd look at all of us and say, now you can pray, you can do whatever you want. So if people had one more thing to say, this could go on for a while and on and on. Finally, when no one had anything else to say anymore, Corbin would look around and say, I'm just going to kind of try to do his voice. He had a really deep voice. Now let's go get some coffee. And that's how you knew the ceremony was over. It's time that we could shuffle off to the camp kitchen. If you were a coffee drinker, get some coffee or do whatever you wanted to do. But then people would leave, but people would go up to the fire and get a little more of that smoke on them or take a little bit of that ash. I still have a jar full of ashes out there in my messy space. But the point is, when people gather and listen to their hearts and make the commitment to work together, they can do incredible things, things that seem impossible at the time. And I'll remember Corbin for as long as I have a memory and remember about all of these beautiful people. We would do this ceremony with people of all races from all around the world, from all different kinds of faiths and non-faiths. But they were there, joined in peace, because the most destructive force on earth was on the other side of that road. So we know that whatever kind of bad day we're having today, whatever kind of virus or other thing makes our times hard, it's going to attract the light. Just like that place attracted the peace. The world is going to find its way to balance. The earth is going to find its way to balance. I hope all of us can keep that in mind and find our own way to balance. When you're out of balance, take a moment. Take a deep breath. Find this space right here, this heartbeat. And remember what Corbin said. We only got one earth, one air, one water, one people, one heart. Ooh, there's a sweet spot in the drum right there. Nice deep bass tone. All right, thanks for spending some time. I got a few requests for children's stories again, so I think maybe next week, stories with Grandmother Drum. Next week, Monday, get some kid stories again. But all of these stories are appropriate for all ages. So until then, or until I see you walking down the street, peace.